I want you to receive this in the stillness within your own heart. Pause. Inhale slowly and let your breath remind your body that it is safe to soften here. Unclench your jaw. Release your shoulders from the memories they have been carrying. Let your heart stop rehearsing the worst outcomes long enough to hear a better word than fear. I do not come to you with thunder to overpower your senses, nor do I arrive with spectacle to compete with your pain. I reach you like the first light of dawn touches a dim room, quietly, faithfully, making all things visible without breaking anything. As it is written, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. My child, I want you to hear me clearly. This is not condemnation, nor is it abandonment. You have walked through nights that felt endless. You have held an empty place at your table and in your chest, and you have whispered questions into your pillow that you did not want anyone else to hear. There were prayers that seemed to dissolve into the ceiling. There were days when the silence felt like judgment, and there were moments when you wondered if love had a boundary you had just crossed. I have heard every question, traced every tear, and remained nearer to you than your own breath. As it is written, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted." Psalm 34:18. And I have been near you, closer than the grief, closer than the fear. What you are calling abandonment is often my hidden embrace when you no longer have strength to carry yourself. Do you see? You measure my care by what remained in your hands. I measure my care by what I held when your hands could hold no more. There are embraces that look like answers, and there are embraces that look like quiet, like restraint, like closing your eyes so that what would harm you passes by unseen. Not rejection, but protection. Not distance, but a different kind of holding. Not silence, but a shelter that muffles the noise so that your soul does not shatter under it. I know the ache that lingers after something precious is taken, the emptiness that echoes when a voice you loved no longer answers, the way your mind tries to build explanations to protect your heart from admitting how much it hurts. I will not rush you past that honesty. Grief is real, and its weight is no sign of failure. Your sorrow is not proof that I have left you. It is proof that you loved deeply, and love does not evaporate simply because circumstances changed. I am not offended by your tears. I am not impatient with your questions. I am not counting your days of weakness against you. I do not measure you by speed, but by direction, and the smallest turn toward me in the dark is more precious than 1,000 strides made without me in the light. Listen, beloved, when you felt the ground give way and you could not steady yourself, I placed my hand beneath you. You did not feel a spectacle of rescue. You felt a strange, stubborn survival you could not explain. That was me. When your mind raced and found no answer that healed, I pressed a gentle pause within you so your heart would not run itself to exhaustion. That was me. When you thought, if one more loss comes, I will break, and yet you did not break, it was because I was already carrying the part of you that would have split. That was me. My child, this is not abandonment. This is me holding you when you can't stand. You have said in your heart, if you were with me, why did the prayer go unanswered in the way I hoped? Why did the door close? Why did what felt good for a season suddenly slip through my fingers? I will not give you a thin answer to a deep question. Some understandings must ripen in the quiet before they can be carried. But hear this as a foundation under your feet. My presence is not proven by the presence of what you wanted, nor disproven by its absence. My presence is my promise, and I bind myself to it. As it is written, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. Your circumstances may shift like shadows through the afternoon, but I am not a shadow, I am light. As it is written, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. There are times I restrain what you thought you needed because I see what it would have taken from you to keep it. There are seasons I quiet the room because the noise you crave would only drown out the rescue I am arranging in the unseen. There are nights when I seem silent because I am holding together what pain tried to tear apart within you, and movement would only undo the mending. My stillness beside you is not a withdrawal. It is the steadying palm of a father upon the trembling shoulder of his child. Feel it now, subtle, sure, without drama, without demand. Let your breathing slow again. Say it in your heart, I am not alone. You do not need to perform a perfect faith to be held. You only need to let yourself be held. Do not apologize for your humanity. I formed you with a heart that feels, with a mind that wonders, with hands that open and sometimes lose. I am not ashamed to meet you at the point of your ache. I am here to anchor you before I answer you, to settle you before I speak the next step, to remind you that belonging comes before understanding. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. A lamp for the next step, not a floodlight for the entire road. So come close in the quiet, not to earn my nearness, but to notice it. Let the fear that love has limits fall away in the evidence of my staying. Let your heart rest against the truth that you are not abandoned. You are held, you are seen. You are safe to grieve, and you are safe to breathe again. Remain here long enough to feel the difference between emptiness and the space I am making. Stay until the chill of loneliness yields to the warmth of my hand upon yours. And when you are ready, whisper back to me the simplest confession I ask for today. I need you. That one sentence is enough to steady your next step. I am here. I have always been here, and I will walk you forward gently, faithfully, in the dawn that is beginning now. My child, now let me turn the light toward the room you kept closed, the night you did not tell anyone about. I saw the way you stared at the ceiling while the world slept, the way your thoughts circled the same questions until the edges blurred and your chest tightened. I saw you hold your breath to keep from sobbing too loudly through thin walls. I saw the text you typed and erased, the message you almost sent, the apology you rehearsed to a face that would not appear again. I saw the way the bed felt too big, how you reached for a warmth that was not there, how the quiet of the house stopped feeling like peace and started feeling like an echo of absence. My beloved, I was there when you pressed your palm against your heart as if to keep it from sliding out of your chest. When you woke already tired, when morning sunlight traced the floor and did not lift the heaviness from your body, when coffee tasted like memory instead of comfort, when the mirror held a face you did not recognize. Yes, I saw. When you scrolled without seeing, when you smiled for others and your smile felt like paper, when celebrations arrived and their music stung like salt on an open wound. Yes, I saw. When you sat too long in the car before going in, when you lingered in the doorway counting the empty chairs, when an ordinary song became an ambush, when you pretended not to hear your name because you were not sure your voice would hold. Yes, I saw. When you said, if I had done it differently, if I had stayed longer, if I had spoken softer, if I had seen the signs, and your mind replayed the scenes until the floor of your heart became thin. Yes, I listened to every word. When you tried to make bargains with the past, when you tried to untie knots that can only be laid down, when you felt ashamed for grieving this long, this hard, this publicly or this privately. Yes, I was with you in the tangle. I did not turn my face away. I did not measure your tears and set a limit. I did not ask you to compose yourself before approaching me. As it is written, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Near means near. I have been nearer to you than the loop of your thoughts, nearer than the ache, nearer than the explanations that did not heal. This is not condemnation, nor is it a rebuke for feeling what you feel. I am not scolding you for being sad. I am witnessing you faithfully, even when you feel unfaithful to your own hope. I know how the heart tries to protect itself by blaming itself. I know the small ways you have tried to numb what hurts, working extra hours, distracting yourself with noise, pretending you are fine because you did not want to be the person who still isn't over it. I will not shame you for survival attempts. Hear me. You did what you knew to keep going when it felt like the ground gave way. I honor the part of you that kept breathing. I cover the part of you that is so tired of pretending. Your grief is not evidence that I left. It is evidence that you loved. Pain is not a sentence over your life. It is information, a faithful report from your heart that what was real mattered, that what you hoped for had weight, that what you lost shaped you. Do you see? The ache tells the truth that love took root in you, and I value that. I do not call you weak for loving. I do not call you foolish for investing your heart. I do not call you late for not snapping back quickly. I call you mine. As it is written, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. The binding happens at the pace of love, not performance. When you replayed the moment you said enough and wondered if you should have endured longer. When you replayed the moment you said yes and wondered if you should have waited. When you held your phone and could not press call. When you stood at the sink and let water run though the dishes were already clean. Every cycle, every silence, every small pause where you felt yourself fraying, I stood beside you. I placed a hand between your racing thoughts and your breath. A subtle restraint that kept you from collapsing beneath the weight of what no longer exists. In the same way, I kept count of your tossings. I gathered every tear as seed for the field you cannot see yet. As it is written, you have kept count of my wanderings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Psalm 56:8. Let me speak gently where guilt has been shouting. There are things you could not have known from where you stood then. There are storms that formed outside your horizon. There are choices other hearts made that do not belong on your ledger. The enemy loves to turn hindsight into a weapon. I turn it into wisdom, not to crush you with what-ifs, but to clarify what is true now. Your memory does not have to be a courtroom. Let it become a classroom where I sit with you, slow the replay, and show you where love was present, where boundaries were needed, where mercy was already intervening. Not punishment, but protection. Not a prison of regret, but a path of learning that leads you home. I want you to release the pressure to narrate your pain to everyone. You do not owe a performance of resilience. You are allowed to have nights no one knows about. You are allowed to say, "This is too much for me tonight," and come sit with me, instead of forcing yourself into rooms that do not hold you tenderly. Bring me the unedited version, the jagged sentences, the unfinished prayers, the raw anger you were afraid would disqualify you. I am not looking for tidy. I am looking for true. Truth is where healing begins, because truth lives in the light. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. In that light, your sorrow is not a flaw. It is a signal I will read with you. Listen to me, beloved. When the house is too quiet, let the quiet become a place of meeting, not a void. When the bed feels too big, let that space remind you there is room for me to lie beside you in the way only I can. No weight upon your chest, only rest upon your soul. When celebrations amplify your loneliness, step away, breathe, and whisper, "Be near to me," and notice how quickly I answer. This is not distance. This is the deep work of comfort that does not depend on whether anyone else understands how much it hurts. I am not far. I am in the very place you fear is empty. So let the ache do what it is meant to do. Lead you back to me. Name what you miss without apology. Admit what you wish had been different without spiraling into blame. Ask me the questions you were sure were too late to ask. Sit with me long enough that the first wave crashes and you can feel the steadier current beneath it. My hand, my voice, my presence that does not waver when your feelings do. I do not measure you by speed, but by direction, and the smallest turn of your face toward me in the night is a movement I magnify into morning. I saw the night you did not tell anyone about. I see the morning you dread, the afternoon you go numb, the evening you dread repeating, and I am here in all of it, not to rush you, not to rebuke you, not to hold you at arm's length until you recover, but to draw you in close enough that you can rest, while I hold what is too heavy for you. Your grief is not the end of the story. It is a chapter where you are allowed to be human, and I am delighted to be your God. Remain with me in this honesty, and watch how even your tears become seeds of peace in my hands. My child, remain with me a little longer in this light and let me show you what you have been calling emptiness. The space that startles you, the quiet that feels like a hollow in your chest, the hour that used to be occupied and is now open before you like an unmarked page. This is not a sentence passed against you. It is a room I prepared. I did not take what you lost to abandon you. I removed it as a protecting mercy and as a clearing, so your future could finally enter. Do you see? You could not build what I am giving you while you were crowded. You could not carry the next thing with hands already clenched around the last. I know how room feels at first, exposed, unfinished, like walking into a house where the furniture has been moved, and the echo of your steps embarrasses you. You want to close the door quickly and fill the space with anything. Noise, new commitments, an old pattern dressed in new language, a rebound that numbs for a night and steals for a season, overwork that looks like strength but hides a shaking center, screens that scroll the ache into a quiet stupor. Pause. Breathe here. This is not condemnation. I am not scolding you for wanting relief. I am inviting you to recognize relief that will not evaporate when morning arrives. Do not confuse the discomfort of clean space with the safety of being loved. The ache that space introduces is not a void I will leave. It is an altar I am teaching you to tend. When you were holding what was familiar, even as it bruised you, there was little room for the better thing that kept knocking. The familiar had grown like vines around the frame of your days. You mistook entanglement for belonging. I intervened not to tear you down, but to untangle what was strangling your breath. I gently unclasped your hands, not to shame you for clinging, but to free your fingers to receive. Not a ripping, but an opening, not a punishment, but a preparation. The door that shut behind you created a hallway you could not see until now, and I am standing at the other end calling you forward. As it is written, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" Isaiah 43:19. Perception begins when you stop rushing to refurnish the room with what once crowded out your future. I want you to consider how a seed requires cleared ground, how a foundation must be poured before walls can be raised, how the womb is quiet on purpose while life forms in secret. Room is not waste, it is incubation. Silence is not neglect. It is the covering under which I draft the blueprints upon your heart. There are plans you asked me to bless that were too small for the calling I set within you. There are dreams you pursued because they were available, not because they were appointed. There are relationships you tried to preserve at any cost when the cost was becoming your peace, your clarity, your capacity to hear me. I stepped in, not to humiliate you, but to save you from a slow erosion. My beloved, there are forms of mercy that will not be recognized by those who only measure love by what lets them keep everything exactly as it is. Do you see the logic of room making? A cup already filled cannot receive. Hands already occupied cannot open to gather. A calendar without margin cannot hold a visitation. You prayed for peace while feeding the very noise that starved it. You asked for guidance while sprinting past the signals that told you to slow. You craved stability while propping up a structure with pieces that did not fit. So I removed what you thought was load-bearing and revealed that I am the beam beneath it all. I am not removing for the sake of removing. I am making space for alignment. As it is written, I know the plans I have for you, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. Plans require place. Hope requires room. Future requires a cleared threshold so it can enter without tripping over yesterday's furniture. I hear you say, but why this way? Why this timing? My answer is not to hush your questions, but to seat them at the table I prepared. Sometimes mercy arrives before understanding can, because if I waited for you to understand, your heart might have been carried too far down a path that was hollowing you. Sometimes I will close the door while your hand is still on the handle, because I see the storm beyond the threshold. Sometimes I will allow the conversation to end, the offer to expire, the attention to shift, because the price of keeping it would have been your clarity, your integrity, your very sense of my nearness. Not to harm you, but to hold you, not to shame you, but to save you from what you could not yet see. As it is written, the Lord is my shepherd. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Psalm 23, verses 1-2. Made to lie down feels like restraint, but it restores the soul. Hear me with tenderness and truth. The room will test you. Delay will whisper, fill it later, while distraction will urge, fill it now. Both are thieves. Delay will keep you circling the edges of the space, never inhabiting it with me. Distraction will stuff it with substitutes that look like motion and feel like life but leave you emptier. Remain with me. Let the light in. Bring into this room what nourishes, honest prayer, simple obedience, the lamp of my word, conversations that strengthen instead of splinter, boundaries that guard the peace I am building. Leave outside the door what hollows you. Compulsive yeses you do not mean. Entertainments that steal your attention without feeding your affection. Resentments that rehearse old injuries until they become your identity. This is discipline as mercy, arranging your interior so it reflects your belonging. As it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. I will not rush the furnishing. I am more concerned with the foundation than the decor. I am pouring peace that does not depend on people staying. I am setting pillars of identity that do not crack when roles shift. I am wiring the room with discernment so you can sense when light fades and respond before darkness gathers. I am installing windows of gratitude that open toward the horizon, so hope can find you each morning. This is my craftsmanship within you. You are not the builder alone. You are the beloved room, becoming a home for my presence. As it is written, you also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house. 1 Peter 2:5. Being built means being patient while beams are measured and set. My child, resist the urge to apologize for the space. You do not owe an explanation for choosing healing over hurry. You do not have to defend the quiet to those who prefer you, busy and available to their every need. You are allowed to say, this room is spoken for because I have spoken for it. Invite me to sit with you in the middle of the floor before a single piece is moved in. Whisper, fill what you have cleared. You will notice how I begin, not with clamor, but with clarity, not with spectacle, but with the dawning assurance that you are safe to want what I want for you. And when the thought rises that you have been emptied, answer it with this truth. I did not take it to empty you. I made room so your future could finally enter, so the good you could not hold while juggling loss and fear could come forward, so what you prayed for in one season could find you available in the next. The room you fear today will become the place of meeting, the table of provision, the workshop of purpose. As it is written, you prepare a table before me, Psalm 23:5. Let the table be set in the presence of all that once threatened your peace, and watch how I feed you with what truly sustains. Remain. Listen. Let the light stay on. The empty space is not punishment. It is the proof that I am preparing you. I am not finished, and neither are you. My child, remain here with me, and let us look together at the door that would not open no matter how carefully you turned the handle. Do you see? What you have been calling a cruel no may have been my gentlest yes to the part of you that was about to be lost trying to keep it open. I do not speak this to minimize your ache. I speak it so that your ache can breathe in the light and stop blaming itself for what was mercy in disguise. This is not condemnation, nor is it abandonment. This is me, your Father, placing my hand across your chest at the curb when you were ready to step into a street you could not yet see clearly, not to embarrass you in front of others, but to preserve you for what is ahead. Consider the relationship that ended though you pleaded for one more chance. You remember the late messages, the apologies that multiplied until your voice sounded smaller to your own ears, the way your peace started asking permission to exist in your own home. You were about to lose your discernment to a constant cycle of appeasing and recovering, to the quiet erosion of your boundaries until you no longer recognized where you ended and another storm began. I saw what that would have normalized in you, a life spent managing someone else's chaos at the cost of your clarity, a self that learned to survive by shrinking. So I let a door close you could not force, because I am guarding the part of you that tells the truth, the part that can love without disappearing. Not rejection, but protection. Not a verdict against your worth, but a shelter over your worth. Think of the job that slipped through your fingers at the last interview, the email that said, "We've decided to move in another direction." You grieved the security you thought it would bring, and that grief is not wrong. But do you see how I saw the culture that would have taken more than it paid? The pace that would have trained your nervous system to live on alarm, the compromises that would have chipped at your integrity while calling it team fit? I saw how the ladder you longed to climb leaned against a wall that did not lead to the future I promised you. The salary would have soothed you for a season while starving the assignment I gave you. I closed that door not to keep you small, but to keep you whole. As it is written, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Psalm 32:8. My eye saw around the corner of what you could not. Remember the friendship that faded without a final scene, the slow drift that left you wondering if you imagined the connection. I know how it stung to be left on unread, how gatherings moved on without your name on the list. I am not indifferent to that wound, yet I also saw the conversation loops that kept you orbiting resentment, the inside jokes that required you to betray your own growth to remain included, the subtle scorn for light that made you dim your own. You were learning to laugh at what harmed you to keep your seat. Darkness often hides itself as charm. It asks for little jokes today and loyalty to its bitterness tomorrow. I closed that circle to keep your heart soft, to preserve your freedom to bless and not become a critic of every room you enter. Not punishment, but pruning. not exile, but an escort out of a climate that would have rewritten your tenderness. And the plan, you know, the one that collapsed 2 days before launch when everything looked ready, the funding that stalled, the permit that did not come, the collaborator who changed course. You called it sabotage. You tasted shame. Do you see the mercy hidden there? That plan would have crowned an unhealed motive with public success, and the applause would have cemented a version of you that your soul could not carry. I did not withhold fruit. I waited to ripen roots. A victory at the wrong time becomes a prison with pretty walls. I did not deny you impact. I delayed it so that impact would not devour intimacy. Light interrupts before a pattern becomes your identity. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. Lamps illumine steps. They also reveal where not to step. Do you see? Darkness is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is the slow dimming where you stop noticing what you are losing to keep up. It is the rust that works quietly under paint, the mold behind the wall that perfumed candles cannot heal, the smile that conceals a shrinking center. I am light, and light is truthful by nature. It reveals in order to heal. When I close a door, I am switching on a light you did not ask for. You may squint at first. You may prefer the gentle blur where you could keep your illusions. But my exposing is not to shame you. It is to spare you. As it is written, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. Fear not the light that saves you from what would have cost you your peace. I know you tried everything. Prayed, fasted, negotiated, pushed. I honor your desire to fight for what matters. Yet there comes a point where you were not fighting for love. You were fighting not to be alone. There comes a point where zeal becomes panic, where persistence becomes self-betrayal. My child, some doors were closed because I was protecting the part of you were about to lose, trying to keep them open. Your voice, your rest, your clear no. Your unguarded laugh, your capacity to hear me. I put my weight against the door not to oppose you, but to stand between you and a cost you could not yet calculate. Do not misread my restraint as rivalry. I am not your opponent at the threshold. I am your father at the threshold. When you feel the hinge resist, pause, breathe, ask, is this your mercy, Lord? And remain long enough for your spirit to hear the answer that does not panic you. If you press and the latch will not yield, put down the tools you use to pry. Flattery, frantic busyness, bending your truth. These will cut your hands and still not turn the key. Listen for the footsteps I am guiding you toward. Another hallway, another door you did not notice because you were so fixed on this one. As it is written, he who opens and no one will shut, who shuts and no one opens. Revelation 3:7. Trust my knowing of locks and paths and timing. This is not me asking you to love loss. It is me inviting you to love being kept. Let the tears come. Let the anger name itself. Let the disappointment be real before me. Then, when the wave passes, ask again, do you see? And let me point to the part of you standing intact on this side, the part that did not have to make peace with abuse to avoid being alone, the part that did not mortgage calling to service of a title, the part that did not turn sarcasm into a lifestyle. That part is my workmanship, and I am jealous to preserve it. I do not measure you by speed, but by direction, and this closed door is a direction, away from harm, toward wholeness. So take your hand off the handle for now. Turn your face toward the light that is already spilling under the edges, proof that I am not finished guiding you. We will walk to the door that fits the shape of your calling, and when we arrive, you will not have to beg it to love you back. It will open because it was made for you to pass through with me. Until then, rest in the mercy you could not recognize at first. Do you see? Even no in my mouth is a way of saying yes to your life. My child, I hear the question that rose in the quiet after the door did not open. Where were you? Hear me with calm certainty. I was not far, and I am not far now. What you called my silence was not absence. It was the quiet pressure of my hand upon your shoulder, keeping you steady while I stabilized what would have broken you if I had spoken too loudly or moved too quickly. There are moments when a raised voice would shake what is already fragile, and so I do not come to you with thunder or spectacle. I reach you like the first light of dawn, constant, faithful, illuminating without startling, making the path visible one step at a time. I want you to receive this in the stillness within your own heart. I was upholding you in places you did not know were slipping. Consider a house that has survived a storm. The noise passes, but the structure bears stresses you cannot see from the street. Before the paint is freshened and the furniture returned, the wise builder examines the beams, adds braces, resets what shifted. That is what my seeming silence has been. Scaffolding raised within you, alignment reclaimed, hidden bolts tightened where fear and loss had loosened them. I was not withholding myself. I was withholding hurry. I was keeping your soul from sprinting on a fractured ankle. I was steadying your breath so panic would not become your teacher. This is not condemnation, nor is it abandonment. It is restraint as mercy, presence as patience. Stillness is the environment where you perceive what noise keeps you from hearing. When you stop letting every notification name your day, when you step back from the treadmill of demands that never honor your limits, when you sit long enough for your pulse to remember peace, you begin to sense me again. Not because I arrived only then, but because space was cleared for awareness to return. My guidance is most often subtle by design, so that your heart learns to love truth rather than chase fireworks. You must be willing to pause in order to listen. Remain long enough to listen more clearly. In the hush, you will notice the micro signals I have been sending to guard you. Do you recognize them? An uneasiness without a clear explanation when you are about to agree to something that drains you. A restlessness that does not crave entertainment but longs for step back and clarity. A sudden loss of appetite for old habits that once seemed harmless but now leave a film over your joy. A discomfort in certain conversations where cynicism poses as wisdom and your spirit quietly recoils. A pull toward prayer that you keep postponing with later when I'm less tired, yet the tug returns in waves, at the sink, in the car, between tasks. A heaviness after scrolling rooms you were not built to live in. An impulse to simplify, to put away, to delete, to cancel what does not align with who you are becoming. These are signals of the Holy Spirit, subtle stirrings in your conscience, not to shame, but to shepherd you back to steadiness. Do not harden yourself against them by calling them nothing. They are not nothing. They are the light blinking on your dashboard, warning in order to protect. My beloved, I do not measure you by speed, but by direction. I am not asking for dramatic gestures to prove devotion. I am inviting small obediences that restore your center. When you receive a pause, honor it. When you sense a no, trust it before your logic demands a spreadsheet. When joy returns after you turn something off, learn the lesson and leave it off. When peace settles the moment you put your phone down and breathe my name, notice that this is not coincidence. It is communion. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. A lamp does not flood a valley. It gives enough light for the next faithful step. Walk by that light and you will not stumble in the same places. I know you prefer clarity that arrives with trumpet sound, but understand the mercy of my dawn. Thunder would have made you brace. Dawn lets you breathe. A blinding flash would have dazzled you for minutes and then left you squinting. A lamp preserves your sight through the night. I am not withholding magnitude. I am tailoring guidance to your healing. Pain destabilized your inner gate, and I am resetting your stride. To do this well, I lead with quiet. Be still and know that I am God. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness is not passivity, it is poised attention. It is the posture that receives instruction before motion begins. Beware the twin thieves that prowl at the edge of silence, delay and distraction. Delay wraps itself in softness and whispers, later will do, not now. It turns the gentle tug to prey into a calendar item that continually shifts down the day until it disappears. Distraction arrives dressed as productivity, keeping you busy with good tasks that crowd out the best. Together they dull discernment until the most important doors of your life are quietly closing and you do not hear the sound. I do not speak this to instill fear in you, but that you may live. Today is the day I meet you. As it is written, today if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews 3:15. Not tomorrow when you imagine a better mood, now when the invitation is tender on your soul. How then do you answer my quiet? Begin small. Sit for 3 minutes and let your breath find a pace that does not argue with peace. Whisper, speak, for your servant is listening, and let the words settle like seed. Open the page of Scripture before you open the door of every opinion. Let my voice be the first light into your room. Lay your hand upon your heart when anxiety climbs and say, I am yours. Step outside and let the honest sky remind you that the world does not rest on your shoulders. This is not performance, this is alignment. The point is not the length, but the posture. Listening with the intent to obey what you hear. If you fear you have missed me because of how long you have run on noise, do not despair. Return now and I return to you here. I am not counting your failures to be still. I am calling you into the joy of stillness because I know what it gives you. True freedom is to no longer be ruled by what binds you within. True guidance is to be led by light you do not have to manufacture. You are not late, you are loved. And love has patience built into its very bones. Hear this again because your heart needs it. My silence has not been distance. It has been the steadying hand that kept you from tipping while grief shifted your center of gravity. It has been the shelter where I relaid the foundation stones of identity, child, beloved, held, so that future weight will rest on what can bear it. It has been the physician's quiet in the operating room, attention singular, instruments precise, because life is being preserved. When the sutures are in place, I speak again in volumes you can carry. Until then, allow my hush to heal you. So when you feel that unease, do not override it, honor it. When old appetites return but taste stale, do not season them with nostalgia. Let them go. When conversation turns and your soul shrinks, exit with peace. When prayer pulls, answer then. Let the lamp I place at your feet tilt your steps, even if it means leaving familiar shadows for unfamiliar light. Watch, therefore, remain, listen. I am rebuilding you in the quiet with purpose and peace, and the life I am preparing in you will not depend on thunder to stand. The dawn is already touching your horizon. Walk with me by its light. My child, come closer into this quiet, and let us tell the truth about the ache you carry. Do not be afraid of it. Do not rush to dress it in noise. Do not call it your enemy because it interrupts your day. What you feel is not proof that I have abandoned you. It is the signal that you are alive, that love has left an imprint, that your soul is honest enough to refuse flatness. I do not come to you with condemnation, nor do I arrive with demands you cannot meet. I come like dawn, and I am asking you to stop running long enough to let the light touch the places you have been numbing. You have reached for replacements because the empty chair felt too loud. You have scrolled until your thumb ached because silence dared to name what was hurting. You have said yes to every request because busyness kept you from hearing your own heart. You have collected shallow connections, quick laughs, and brief messages at midnight to hush the voice that asked for deeper belonging. You have planned tomorrow so carefully that today never had a chance to be honest. I see it all, and I am not shaming you for wanting relief. I know why you reached. I know the hour you tried to sleep and could not. I know the cupboard you opened, the streaming episode that autoplayed, the cart you filled with things you did not need, the room you entered just to avoid the room where your tears would find you. My beloved, hear me. I have compassion on your coping, but I will not let it become your compass. Numbness is a fork in the road. When you refuse to feel, you do not escape your pain. You move into a house it will quietly build for you, room by room, deciding your furniture and arranging your days without your consent. What you push into darkness does not lose power, it gains it. But what you bring into light loses the power to shape you in secret. What you refuse to feel, you will eventually live from. What you dare to feel with me, you will be healed from. Do you see? I am not inviting you to drown in sorrow. I am inviting you to stop drowning alone. Let us take inventory together. Hold your habits up to the light with me, not as a courtroom where you are accused, but as a physician's table where you are examined so healing can begin. Ask with me and ask honestly, is this still nourishing you? Is this still safe? Is this still leading you toward life? The app you open without thinking, does your spirit feel clearer after it or coded? The conversation thread you keep alive because you fear being forgotten, does it expand your heart or train it to beg? The extra shift you take every time it is offered, does it build your future or borrow it? The humor you use to deflect tenderness, does it protect joy or wound it? The rituals you cling to at night, are they blessing your sleep or breeding regret by morning? Bring each one into the light. Name them. I will not flinch. Truth does not bruise you, it frees you. I do not demand perfection from you. I ask for honesty. I do not measure you by speed, but by direction. One yes to truth in the quiet is worth more than 100 grand resolutions made under pressure. When the ache rises, learn its language. It says, something here needs your attention with me. It says, you are alone in a way you were not made for. It says, you are carrying a story that has not been told in my presence yet. If you stop running from the ache, it will stop chasing you, and it will start guiding you home. Pain becomes a servant when you bring it to me. It becomes a master when you hide it. I know you fear that if you feel it, you will be swallowed whole. Hear me. I am the shore where waves break and lose their fury. Bring the swell to me, and it will find its boundary. Do not anesthetize what is meant to be processed. Grief unwept calcifies as bitterness. Loneliness denied often masquerades as superiority. Fear unanswered will disguise itself as control. None of these are your identity. They are unhealed alarms sounding for attention, and I am here to answer them with you. Let me show you how to begin. When the impulse to numb comes, pause. Breathe my name. Put the device down long enough to notice the tug underneath the urge. Ask out loud, what am I avoiding right now? And then listen. If the answer is the empty chair, say, Lord, meet me in this empty space. If the answer is the conversation I dread, say, Lord, teach me truth with tenderness. If the answer is the memory that won't move, say, Lord, hold me where I am fragile. Tears are not failures, they are the river that carries the ache into my hands. As it is written, whoever lives by the truth comes into the light. John 3:21. Come into the light with me, and the truth will not condemn you. It will clarify you. Do you see how darkness works? It promises comfort without cost, but it charges you slowly in currencies you do not track: focus, compassion, patience, delight. A little more scrolling, a little more joking at your own expense, a little more caffeine to outrun fatigue, a little more over-explaining so no one is disappointed. Water dripping upon stone shapes the stone. Silence the drip by naming the source. Turn the valve with me. Small, steady choices, not grand theatrics. Delete one portal that always drains you. Say no to one demand that is not yours to carry. Step outside for 5 minutes to pray instead of opening a tab that hijacks your afternoon. Choose one conversation this week that is real, not performative. Light gathers one lamp at a time. And to you who say, "But I have tried and returned again to the same comforts," I answer with patience, you are not a failure, you are a soul in formation. Do not despise the day of small returns. Each time you turn back, the path becomes shorter, the reflex weaker, the muscle of your will stronger. I am not tallying stumbles. I am celebrating every step toward the light. As it is written, "Return to me and I will return to you." This is not threat, it is promise. When your heart says, "I need you," even in a whisper you barely trust, I am already beside you, untangling what the night tried to knot. Beware, however, the soft voice that says, "Later." Later is numbness's ally. It dresses delay as care for yourself and steals today's healing inch by inch. Later assures you that feeling can wait and then ensures that it never happens. Do not postpone what peace is asking for now. You do not need a perfect plan to begin. You need a present yes. Open the window, shut down the feed. Text the friend who tells you the truth. Write the line you have avoided. Here is what hurts. Then sit in my presence without trying to tidy your sorrow, and let me tend to you as I promised. As it is written, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Near means here. My child, I am not calling you out of hiding to expose you. I am calling you out to heal you. I am forming in you a peace that does not require constant distraction to survive. I am training your senses to recognize what strengthens and what subtracts. I am teaching you to ask before you act, to feel before you fill, to receive before you reach. You are safe to rest your head upon my chest and let the ache release its grip. In this resting, direction will return. In this honesty, identity will steady. In this light, love will become your way again. So when the ache knocks tonight, do not slam the door with noise. Open and say, "Lead me back to Him." Walk with it to the place of prayer. Sit with me in the simple chair where you first learned to call me Father. Let the minutes be unremarkable and the mercy unmistakable. I do not come with thunder to fix you. I reach you like dawn to be with you. And as you remain, you will find the ache has changed. No longer an adversary, but a guide that has done its work, leading you home. My child, remain here in the quiet where your breathing slows and your heart can hear me rightly. I know the places where the path narrowed, where what you called freedom suddenly met a firm boundary, where the current you were riding became a wall you could not pass. Hear me, this was not me sentencing you to shame. This was discipline as mercy, a restraining embrace, not a harsh decree. I am not your accuser. I am your Father. I do not come to humiliate you in your weakness, but to preserve you in your becoming. This is not condemnation, nor is it abandonment. It is love that refuses to watch you drift into a future that would hollow you out. Understand what my discipline is and what it is not. It is not punishment designed to make you pay. It is intervention designed to keep you alive to what matters. It is not the flare of anger from a distant deity. It is the careful touch of a present Father who knows where you are tender and what would fracture you if not addressed. It is not proof that you are unloved. It is evidence that you are claimed. I only restrain those who are mine. As it is written, the Lord disciplines those he loves. Proverbs 3:12. Love that never restrains is not love, it is indifference. I am not indifferent to you, I am attentive, and my attention has a mantle, to correct what would carry you away, to steady what grief has loosened, to shepherd you where the path is narrow but safe. Consider how a seatbelt locks when the brakes are pressed. Its grip is sudden and not comfortable, yet its purpose is not harm, it is preservation. Or consider a shepherd's staff that gently hooks the sheep from the cliff's edge. The tug feels abrupt. The bruise may last a day, but better the bruise from a staff than the break from a fall. My beloved, there are moments when your momentum is the very thing that endangers you, and so I press against it until you come to a halt you did not plan. You are allowed to grieve the interruption. You are allowed to say, "It hurt." I will hold you while the sting subsides, but do not call my rescue cruelty. Do not rename saving restraint as rejection. Look at Jonah, my prophet, a man with a calling clear as morning. Go to Nineveh. He decided another direction felt safer, more palatable to his sense of justice, and he purchased passage to distance himself from obedience. Do you see what happened? A storm arose, not to destroy him, but to stop him from going further down the wrong path. The sea roared, the ship groaned, the plans unraveled. Jonah was cast into the deep and swallowed by a great fish, not as a tomb, but as a chamber of pause, where breath could return and prayer could rise. In the darkness he remembered light. In the confinement he remembered call. And when he offered the prayer of surrender, the fish delivered him onto shore, facing the right direction. The interruptions were mercy. As it is written, salvation belongs to the Lord. Jonah 2:9. I intervened early enough to prevent a story that would have haunted him. Translate this to your own steps. The disruption that stopped your momentum, the opportunity withdrawn, the door that jammed, the relationship that could not bear another compromise, the exposure of a secret you were managing, the sudden fatigue that forced you to rest, the plan delayed beyond your tolerance. These may be storms and fish assigned to save you, not to shame you. You were running on fumes while calling it faith. You were bargaining with your boundaries while calling it loyalty. You were moving too fast to notice your center hollowing. Had I given you smooth seas, you would have sailed farther from your own soul. I will not sponsor your escape from the life I formed in you. I would rather you be angry with me for a moment than lost to yourself for a decade. Do you see now the tenderness in my firmness? I did not take what you loved to make you small. I removed what you were depending on so that you could become whole. I refused to let applause baptize a motive that would later imprison you. I would not let your name be built on what your character could not carry. I would not permit a partnership that required you to dim your light to remain. I am jealous over the part of you that tells the truth, and I will close the theater where your acting is rewarded. This is not punishment but protection, not a verdict against your worth, but an intervention against your erosion. Yes, feel your feelings with me, grief, anger, bewilderment. Name them in my presence. I will not minimize your ache. To say this was mercy does not deny that it hurt. It reframes why it hurt. Think of bones set back into place. The reset stings, but the set saves the limb. Think of a surgeon who removes what would sicken the whole body. The incision is real, but it is unto healing. As it is written, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23:4. Rod and staff are tools of guidance and defense. They push and they protect. Comfort does not come only through softness. It also comes through strength that keeps you from harm. Beware of the voice that seeks to reinterpret discipline as disdain. Delay will whisper, later, when the pain is less, then you can obey. Pride will murmur, this boundary is beneath you, you are beyond such restraint. Shame will hiss, if you were truly loved, you would never have been stopped like this. These are not my words. I do not speak to instill fear in you, but that you may live. Today is your moment to agree with life. As it is written, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Afterward it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Hebrews 12:11. Let yourself be trained, not drained. Yield, and you will taste peace again. How do you cooperate with discipline as mercy? When you feel the check within, pause. When the path narrows, do not force it wide by breaking your own boundaries. When I uncover a pattern, bring it into the light with confession, not excuses. When I remove a prop, do not build another out of the same fragile material. Replace hurry with hearing. Replace explanation with repentance. Replace defensiveness with willingness. Teach me, Lord, show me the turn. Open Scripture and let its lamp reveal the next small step. Seek counsel that does not flatter your denial but loves your future. Simplify where excess has become your noise. And when the urge to run returns, remember Jonah. Remember the sea. Remember the fish. Remember the shore that awaited him after surrender. Hear me again, because the enemy would like to blur this. You are still my child. Discipline did not rename you. Correction did not cancel you. Restraint did not reduce you. It preserved you for the work that will not collapse under its own weight. I do not measure you by speed but by direction. One step of yieldedness now is more precious than 1,000 frantic attempts to keep control. Return your weight to my hand. Let me hold you steady until your inner gate is reset. Let me build in you the peace that does not require perfect circumstances to stand. And when you are ready, and you will be ready, you will see why the storm came when it did, why the fish swallowed, why the shore was not where you planned. You will bless the day I said no to your escape and yes to your life. You will say with joy what now you can only say by faith, that was mercy. Watch, therefore. Remain. Listen. I am not breaking you. I am saving you from what would have. Walk with me, and the discipline that stung will become the testimony that steadies others. My child, we must speak about the voice that has cradled you in comfort and quietly stolen your years, the whisper of later. Delay does not arrive with threats. It wraps itself in softness and reasonable tones. It tells you that healing will be safer tomorrow, that honesty will be easier when you feel stronger, that prayer will be richer when you are less tired, that surrender will be more convenient when the schedule is clear. It rocks you like a lullaby, and while you sleep under its song, the most important doors of your life are quietly closing and you do not hear the sound. I do not say this to condemn you, nor to frighten you. I speak this that you may live, that you may recognize how a gentle postponement can become a long exile from peace. Grief has made you pause, and rightly so. There is a holy stillness that allows tears to find their place. But there is another kind of pausing that becomes paralysis, the wait for a day when you will finally feel strong enough, whole enough, less emotional, less uncertain. Hear me. I meet you in weakness. I come to you not with demands for perfection, but with an invitation to begin as you are. As it is written, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Do not wait to be unbroken to return. Return so I can mend you. Do not wait to feel brave to speak. Speak so that courage can breathe again. Do not wait for the ache to vanish to pray. Pray so that the ache can lead you into my arms. Consider how restoration often passes by quietly. The moment to apologize while the heart is still soft. The window to forgive while resentment is small. The chance to confess before a habit roots itself. These are doors that do not slam. They click shut like evening latches, and when you finally stand to move, you discover the hinge has seized. Delay assures you the hinge will always swing, but time proves it otherwise. As it is written, watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. Matthew 25:13. Wisdom keeps oil in the lamp today. Foolishness says, I will buy oil in the morning, and finds the night longer than expected. I am not trying to scare you with scarcity. I am teaching you to honor the tenderness of now while it is tender. Listen to the way delay speaks so you can answer it in truth. It will say, you need more information, when what you need is humility. It will say, finish everything else first, when what you need is 5 honest minutes in my presence. It will say, you'll only cry again. Why open that door when what you need is tears that wash rather than inner storms that erode? It will say, this isn't the right environment, when I am right here, turning any environment into holy ground the moment you say, my name. My beloved, the enemy of your soul does not need you to renounce me. He only needs you to reschedule me. Tomorrow is a mirage that keeps retreating as you walk. As it is written, now is the favorable time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6:2. Now is where I meet you. Not the imagined later where you feel worthy. This simple now where you are willing. Pause. Listen. Return. Today, this is not performance, this is alignment. Sit for the length of one song and tell me what you have postponed naming. Send the message that says, can we talk? I want to make this right, before the courage thins. Delete the portal that steals your afternoons in exchange for haze. Put your hand on your chest and whisper, Father, I am here, even if it trembles. Open the scriptures before you open your calendar. Step outside, breathe the honest air, and allow the sky to remind you that you are not holding the world together. I am. One step now changes direction, and I do not measure you by speed, but by direction. I know the reasons you keep by your side. You say, I need to think this through, while your thoughts circle the same unhelpful track. You say, I'll be less busy next week, while next week arrives in the same clothes. You say, I don't want to cry at work, at dinner, in the car, while your soul is already weeping inside its quiet. My child, what you postpone to protect your image leaves your heart unprotected. What you delay to avoid discomfort grows heavy in the dark. Nothing hidden heals without light. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. Lamps are for now, steps, not later dreams. Let the lamp illumine this moment and take the step it reveals. There are doors I have kept open for you because mercy is patient, but there are also appointments that belong to today because love is wise. Opportunities for peace can age. Soil that is moist with conviction can harden if left untended. A sentence unspoken in humility can lose its power if pride rehearses a new script overnight. I am not threatening you with scarcity. I am awakening you to value. Treasure is treated as treasure by being handled when it is placed in your hands, not set aside for a more convenient hour that never arrives. I am here and I am ready to meet you the moment you stop postponing me. Do you worry that you will start and fail again? Begin anyway. I do not tally attempts to humiliate you. I count them as returns, each one shortening the distance, each one reshaping your reflex. Do you fear you will speak and be misunderstood? Speak anyway. I will be the guard on your lips and the interpreter of your intent. Do you fear your yes will cost you? It will cost what is decaying to make room for what is alive. I did not take what you lost to abandon you. I made room. Do not let delay fill that room with storage. Let faith enter it today. As it is written, "Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts." Hebrews 3:15. A soft heart now will carry more light than a rehearsed defense later. So come, not with everything in order, but with your honest self. Say, "Here is what I have avoided." Say, "Here is the apology I owe." Say, "Here is the boundary I must honor." Say, "Here is the grief I have tried to outpace." And then watch how life reconnects to your veins. The moment you stop postponing me is the moment you begin to live again. Watch, therefore, remain, listen, return. Today, I am here and I am making the way, plain before your feet. Let us take the first step together now. I want you to receive this in the stillness within your own heart. What you lost changed your circumstances, not your belonging. Hear me say it plainly so that delay and disappointment cannot reinterpret it. You are still my child. My child, I have never left you. I did not withdraw my name from your life when people withdrew theirs. I did not cross you out when plans crossed themselves. I did not rename you when grief tried to narrate you. I hold you the same in the sunlight of celebration and in the dim rooms where you learn to breathe again. This is not condemnation, nor is it abandonment. This is the voice that formed you, reminding you who you are when every other voice feels louder. You have been tempted in the hush after loss to gather labels that do not belong to you. Too much, you said, because some could not carry the weight of your honest heart. Unwanted, you whispered, because someone did not stay. Behind, you told yourself, as if my timing were a race you failed to enter on time. Forgotten, you feared, because applause moved on to a newer room. My beloved, who handed you those names? Do you see how darkness tries to brand you in your vulnerable hour? I do not measure you by speed, but by direction. I do not weigh you on scales built by comparison. I do not assign you a value based on the willingness of others to understand you. I called you mine before you performed, before you were applauded, before you fell or rose. As it is written, I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. My naming is not fragile. It does not expire when seasons shift. Loss may have emptied a chair at your table, but it did not empty your seat at mine. You are not a mistake walking around trying to earn a place among the worthy. You are not an accident I am trying to accommodate. You are not a burden I tolerate until you improve. You are my child. You are held. You are seen. You are wanted by the one whose wanting is not seasonal. You are carried when your legs tire. You are not the sum of what left. You are the story I am still telling with your life. As it is written, see what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. 1 John 3:1. Lavished love does not retract itself when tears arrive. It wraps closer. Let me bring before you a picture you know well, and may have forgotten how to stand inside of. The sun in a far country, the coins gone, the friends thinner than the air between party and morning, the pigsty louder than the music ever was. He rehearsed a speech of smallness, a script that made him less than a son, so he could sneak in by servanthood. He thought return would be humiliation. He did not know his father had been turning his face toward the road every evening, not with folded arms but with open ones. Do you see what happened when he rose? His father ran, not with thunder to rebuke, but like the first light of dawn to embrace. There was a robe that fit identity, a ring that restored authority, sandals that dignified steps, and a table set not to test him, but to welcome him. Return was not punishment, it was restoration. My beloved, you may feel far, but you are not a stranger. You are not required to audition for a place in a house that bears your name. Return to me does not shrink you, it reveals you. As it is written, to all who received him, he gave the right to become children of God. John 1:12. Rights are not rented, they are bestowed. You are not renting my love month to month based on performance. You fear the voice that named you yesterday will be the judge of you forever, but not your past defines you, my voice does. Not what was taken names you, what I speak over you stands. I speak light where you have spoken lack. I speak sonship where you have spoken servanthood as a disguise for shame. I speak future where you have sworn you are finished. I speak beloved where you have repeated too much. I speak chosen where you have called yourself unpicked. I speak carried where you have confessed behind. I speak remembered where you have cried forgotten. As it is written, you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you received the spirit of adoption by whom we cry, Abba, Father. Romans 8:15. Adoption is not fragile paperwork. It is a covenant sealed by my spirit within you. Do not let grief notarize a false identity when I have already signed my name over you. Take note of how the enemy uses loss to reroute your identity into labor. He will say, work harder and maybe you will be wanted. He will whisper, quiet yourself into invisibility and maybe you will be less too much. He will push you to decorate behind with busyness and to perform remembered by shouting for attention. My child, listen to me. You do not have to build ladders to reach what is already your inheritance. You do not have to mute your heart to make small rooms comfortable. You do not need to outrun time to stay on pace with my purpose. I do not measure you by speed but by direction. One step toward me while others race in circles is more progress than 1,000 laps in the wrong arena. Return is a turn of the heart, not a marathon of penance. Come out of agreement with false names. Lay them down one by one in my presence. Say it aloud with me so your ears can hear what truth sounds like in your own voice. I am not too much. I am fully known and wisely led. I am not unwanted. I am chosen and delighted in. I am not behind. I am aligned with the one who orders my steps. I am not forgotten. I am engraved on his hands. Place your hand upon your chest, feel the rhythm I sustain, and whisper, Father. Let that word, simple and honest, rethread what sorrow untied. The Spirit within you will answer it. As it is written, the Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. Romans 8:16. Witness is given in the quiet where your soul is no longer swept away by the noise. Do you see how light works here? It does not expose to embarrass, it reveals to restore. I lift the labels you stuck on in the dark and show you the name etched beneath them since before breath found your lungs. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. Known precedes named, named precedes sent. This is why I am rebuilding you in the quiet, so that you will not trade identity for approval again, so that your yes to me will not be bartered away for a brief belonging in rooms that require you to be less true, to remain. Peace will settle where performance has sat. Belonging will anchor what applause used to float. Stop auditioning for tables I did not set. Stop shrinking to fit chairs that wobble when you tell the truth. Stop translating yourself into currencies that always devalue you by mourning. Come to my table. Your seat is not vacant because you failed. It waits because you are mine. The napkin is folded, the plate is set, the portion is measured to your season, and the conversation is not about catching you up to others, but about aligning you to me. As it is written, you are my workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which I prepared beforehand, that you should walk in them. Ephesians 2:10. Workmanship speaks of intention. I am not improvising with your life because something left. I am continuing what I began. And to the places in you that still argue, but they named me as they left, I answer gently, Their leaving explained them. It did not define you. Their silence described their season. It did not prophesy your future. Their inability to carry your heart said nothing about the worth of your heart. My beloved, I will not waste this. Even here, even now, I am deepening the roots of who you are so that joy can grow, without being at the mercy of who stays or who understands. You will learn to live from the inside out, not the outside in. You will carry a peace that does not need constant proof. You will speak without begging. You will love without self-erasure. You will walk as a child, not an orphan borrowing belonging for the night. So lift your face. Breathe. Let the house of your heart receive its homeowner back. Say simply, Father, I am here, not with a plan to perform, but with a willingness to be held. I do not come to you with thunder to test you. I reach you like dawn to name you. What you lost did not rename you. I still call you my child, and I am not changing my mind. Return, remain, walk with me, and let identity, not insecurity, set the pace of your steps. My child, come into this quiet with me and let your heart hear what noise cannot teach you. I am not only comforting you, I am forming a peace in you that no departure can steal. What you call loneliness is not only the absence of people, it is the fear that you are unprotected, the echo of "what if I am left again?" reverberating through rooms that have not yet been rebuilt. Hear me. You are not unprotected. I am here, and I am making your inner home strong again, so that love can visit and love can leave, and still you remain whole and held. This is not condemnation, nor is it abandonment. This is the steady work of a father building sanctuary where the storm cannot enter. Do you see how a house is made sound? Not by hanging new curtains over cracked beams, but by tending to the foundation that no one applauds. So too I am working within you, beneath the visible, beneath the words you speak to others when they ask how you are. I am laying joists of truth across the spans that grief loosened. I am resetting door frames so that what ought to be kept out cannot barge in, and what ought to be welcomed has a place to enter. I am glazing the windows of your perception so that what once distorted your view grows clear. This is not spectacle, it is formation, not overnight change, but daily shaping, brick by brick, breath by breath, prayer by prayer. Let us talk about the bricks, new rhythms that anchor you when emotions sway, morning stillness before the world makes its demands, evening honesty before sleep tries to swallow what you have felt. New boundaries that respect the child I call you. Yes and no spoken not to control others, but to protect the life I am birthing within you. New prayers that do not perform, simple words like rain upon dry ground. Father, I need you. New grief that is honest rather than numbed. Tears that wash rather than pools that stagnate. None of this is dramatic, all of this is holy. I do not measure you by speed, but by direction. One small, faithful rhythm repeated becomes a wall that keeps out the old flood. Light is how I build, not with shattering announcements, but with dawn. I open a curtain within and let truth fall softly across the floor you have not dared to look at. Dust lifts in the beam and you can finally see what you have been breathing. Do not fear the exposure. I reveal in order to heal. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. Lamps do not blind, they guide. They illumine the next step, not the entire horizon, and that is mercy. You do not need to map the rest of your life tonight. You need to take the step the lamp makes plain. Pause. Listen. Take it. Here is how we will rebuild together. Each day, choose a quiet moment, even if it is only 5 minutes. Close the door, silence the device, place your hand upon your chest, and breathe. Say one honest sentence. I need you. Let need replace performance. Then write what you feel for 3 unedited lines. No fixing, just naming. Today I felt. Today I feared. Today I hoped. Bring that page into the light with me. Ask me what is true and what is simply loud. Read one scripture slowly, one verse, not a chapter. Read it aloud, then again. Then sit with the word or phrase that rests upon you. Allow it to be a plank set into place. When the ache rises, do not numb it. Let it lead you back to this place, to these simple steps. Remain long enough to listen more clearly. My beloved, peace is not the absence of noise around you. It is the presence of my rule within you. As it is written, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Colossians 3:15. Rule means govern, decide, arbitrate. Let peace decide what enters and what remains. Let peace be the guard at the door, as it is written, the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. Guarding implies real thresholds. There are conversations you will no longer entertain, screens you will not scroll past midnight, rooms you will no longer visit just because you are invited, tasks you will not accept simply because you are able. This is not isolation, this is wisdom. This is the inner home learning which windows open to light and which doors must stay latched against the draft that once chilled you to the bone. You fear that if you build in this way, you will lose people. Hear me. Those who cannot honor the peace I am forming in you are not your home. You are not shutting them out to punish them. You are protecting the sanctuary where I meet you. Some will leave because they preferred the version of you who needed them to stay to feel safe. Bless them and remain. Others will adjust and find their place in your steadied world. You are not becoming hard. You are becoming whole. Love born from peace is not smaller. It is truer, freer, more enduring, because it is not bargaining for permission to exist. I am forming in you a peace that does not require human constancy to survive. As it is written, my peace I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John 14:27. When I seem silent in this rebuilding, I am not far. I am often stabilizing what would have broken you if moved too quickly. I am curing the mortar. Yes, even mortar must set. If you rush to hang portraits before the walls are dry, they will fall and you will assume you failed. You did not fail, you hurried. Replace hurry with hearing. When the urge rises to fill every space with noise, resist it. Let quiet become your teacher. In the soft, you will feel the subtle stirrings of my spirit, the uneasiness without clear explanation when an invitation is wrong for this season, the small joy that accompanies a hidden obedience. Train your ear upon these signals. They are the sound of beams settling true. There will be days when the house feels empty and you will be tempted to decorate with distractions, endless scrolling, old patterns, familiar rooms where you were celebrated for the masks that cost you your breath. Do you see the mercy in the emptiness? The space is not punishment. It is room I prepared so that peace can dwell where panic once nested. Do not refill it with what you begged me to remove. Choose emptiness for a time so that fullness can find you rightly. Sit in a chair by the window of morning and say, Father, I am here. Put a gentle song on and let it be background, not escape. Light a candle not because light is magic, but because you are choosing symbol and practice over impulse and drift. As you rebuild, allow me to teach you the language of boundary without apology. No is not a failure of love. It is an act of stewardship. Not now is not delay's lullaby. It is discernment's defense when peace says, the mortar is still wet. Yes is precious when it emerges from a heart at rest, not a heart coerced by fear. I am not micromanaging you. I am fathering you. I will whisper, lower that voice when your inner critic begins to shout. I will nudge, Make that call when reconciliation is ripe. I will press close that tab when your eyes seek comfort where numbness lives. Obedience here is not a chain. It is a key that locks what steals and opens what heals. Imagine the storms returning as all weather does and find yourself surprised. The wind rattles the trees, rain speaks loud against the roof. The news cycles and the rooms around you change their occupants, yet within a hearth is lit. The fire is not frantic, it is steady. You do not pretend the storm is not real. You remain unbroken because your house was not built on applause or presence that had to stay to keep you safe. Your peace is anchored in mine, and from this home you will host others, not with the performance of perfection, but with the hospitality of honesty. You will say, "Sit, breathe. Here is where we learn to listen." The room that once echoed with fear will ring with songs of trust, and many will find shelter in the light that now lives in you. As it is written, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Psalm 27:1. No darkness is stronger than truth. So come again, even now. Take a seat in the room we are rebuilding. Speak the sentence that steadies the frame. I need you. Read one verse and let it be enough. Write the feeling and do not edit it away. Choose one boundary and keep it for one day. Tomorrow will meet you with fresh mercy, and we will set the next brick together. I am not improvising your future. I am establishing it. I am not merely mending what was torn. I am fashioning what will endure. Remain with me, and you will discover that what others can leave cannot take what I give. My peace I give you, not as the world gives. Let not your heart be troubled. I am here, and I am making your inner home a quiet, bright place where you can live and from which love can flow without fear. Return, remain, listen, breathe. We are building for storms and for songs, and neither will master you because I am your peace. My child, hear me now in the same quiet where we have been rebuilding. I will not waste this. The space that hurt you will become the place I fill with purpose, and your pain will not be the final voice. What you survive with me is not a trophy of your strength. It is a testimony of my nearness. I do not display you to prove a point to a watching world. I place you like a lamp in a room that once knew night, so others can see enough to take one step. Not thunder to frighten, but dawn to reveal. I want you to receive this in the stillness within your own heart. The comfort you have received will become comfort you carry. The light that steadied your feet will become a lamp in your hand. As it is written, He comforts us in all our affliction, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction. 2 Corinthians 1:4. Understand this clearly so that bitterness does not misinterpret my intent. I do not call evil good. I do not rename betrayal blessing or dress wounds in empty phrases. I do not celebrate what broke you. I redeem it, meaning without minimizing, this is my way. I gather what was meant to hollow you, and I repurpose it so that it no longer owns you, and it cannot own those you will meet. As it is written, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20. Do you see the difference? Not a denial of harm, but a denial of harm's authority to write the end of the story. Light is truthful by nature. It reveals in order to heal. I am taking the ash from the altar of your sorrow and mixing it with oil. What marked you with mourning will mark you with mercy for others. As it is written, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning. Isaiah 61:3. You will recognize them, the ones who walk the same dim corridors you once wandered. Eyes scanning for an exit, breaths shallow, hands trembling at doorknobs. They are not sure they should open. You will know the look because you wore it. You will not preach at their ache. You will sit with them in the chair by the window and show them how to breathe. You will say what saved you, one honest sentence at a time. You are not alone. You are not abandoned. Say with me, Father, I need you. You will not force pace or prescribe performance. You will carry a lamp because you learned to walk with me when the hallways were still dark. Your testimony will not be a speech rehearsed for applause, but a quiet evidence that light is stronger than night. As it is written, let your light so shine before others that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Not shine to prove yourself, but shine to point to me. Do not underestimate the small obediences that will become lifelines for others. A text sent at the hour you now discern is heavy for them, a meal left without fanfare, a boundary kept that teaches them permission to protect what is holy, a silence maintained that refuses to gossip their story into public rooms, a scripture scribbled on a folded paper and slipped into a palm. You learned the language of steady, now speak it. You learned how to host honesty, now open the door. You learned the rhythm of no that guards peace, now model it without apology. This is commission without spotlight, purpose without performance. I do not measure you by speed, but by direction. One lamp held faithfully in a darkened hall saves more than 100 unused torches, stored for a grand event that never arrives. Delay will whisper later when you feel stronger, when you have more to say, when you are certain you will not make a mistake. Resist that softness. Healing happens in today, and so does helping. You do not need a platform to be placed. You need willingness. Pay attention to the subtle stirrings I have trained you to hear, the nudge to pause and pray a name when it rises unbidden, the gentle heaviness that asks you to linger after a conversation, the uneasiness that tells you to protect a story entrusted to you. Remain long enough to listen more clearly. Watch, therefore, for the moments I open. Step through them simply. As it is written, watch, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. Matthew 25:13. The most important doors of your life open quietly. Do not let busyness drown their hinges. And to your fear that what was lost is beyond my reach, I answer with a promise I am already performing. I am restoring what you thought was forever gone, sometimes in form, always in essence. Peace where panic took root, stability where the floor once gave way, love that is patient and clean where transactions once posed as devotion, direction where drift feigned safety. I do not return everything exactly as it was. I return you to yourself in me, and from there I return to you what aligns with the life I am leading you to live. As it is written, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. Joel 2:25. Years are not merely counted by calendars. They are measured by the rooms of the heart rebuilt, the songs that return to the mouth, the sleep that becomes deep again. I will give you beauty for ashes. I will plant you as an oak of righteousness, that I may be glorified. Isaiah 61:3. Do not fear that I will send you back into rooms that once devoured you. I am your father, not a careless commander. There are doors I closed to protect the part of you were about to lose trying to keep them open, and I will keep them shut. There are paths I will lead you down that are new, where your story becomes a bridge, but not a chain. When I ask you to return to a place, I will go with you. When I say, not there, trust that I am preserving the work we have done. Obedience remains your freedom, not your restriction. I intervene early so that you are not carried too far away, and I place you wisely so that what cost you most now becomes a gift you can give without losing yourself. Lift your face, my beloved, open the curtains of this rebuilt room, and let the light I have set within you fall into the hall. Do not wait until you feel perfect. Bring me your present, yes. You will speak, and sometimes your voice will tremble. Still, it will carry authority because it was formed in the night. You will pray, and sometimes words will feel small. Still, they will open windows in places that have forgotten air. You will listen, and sometimes there will be no immediate change. Still, your presence will become evidence of my own. This is how I turn mourning into movement, how I turn rooms into beacons, how I turn the quiet you learned with me into a shelter for many, as it is written, "Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy." Psalm 126:5. Take heart. Your story does not end with what left. It continues with who stayed. I am here, and I am sending you, not far, not frantic, not to prove, but to love with the peace that now rules within you. Say with me in the simple honesty that steadies the frame, use me as you will, I am here. And as you go, remember, I will not waste this. The room that once echoed with grief will glow with purpose, and your pain will not be the final voice, because I am your light and your salvation, and I am making all things new. My child, before you move from this moment, come closer in the quiet, where your breath slows and your heart can finally hear. I do not come to burden you with performance or to demand a vow you fear you cannot keep. I come like the first light of dawn to invite a simple, honest turning. This is not condemnation, nor is it abandonment. It is a hand extended. It is a door opening from within. The return I ask for is not dramatic, not choreographed, not the speech of a perfect one. It is the whisper of a loved one who chooses me in the present tense. I want you to receive this in the stillness within your own heart. Place your hand over your chest for a moment. Feel the rise and fall that I sustain. Let your shoulders lower. Let your jaw unclench. Do not rehearse tomorrow. Meet me here. I am listening. Speak with me, not to impress me, but to be with me. Say this one sentence that unlocks the way back, and I will meet you where each word lands. Father, I need you. Hold me, teach me, lead me. Remain there for a breath. Let need replace performance. Let honesty open what fear has kept closed. As it is written, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews 3:15. Today is the ground of your healing. I am standing upon it with you. Hear me again so your shame cannot argue you out of grace. You are not late beyond redemption. You are not disqualified by tears. You are not cast aside because your hands shake as you reach for mine. A bruised reed I will not break, and a smoldering wick I will not snuff out. I foster what is small until it burns steady. Isaiah 42:3. Whoever comes to me I will never cast out. John 6:37. Do you see? Return is not an exam. It is an embrace. Return is not an audition. It is a homecoming. Your grief is not evidence that I left. It is evidence that you loved, and I have been near you the entire time. Resist delay's lullaby that whispers, later, when you feel stronger, when your habits are tidy, when you can promise you will never falter again. I do not measure you by speed, but by direction. One honest step now is more valuable to your soul than 1,000 promises postponed. Pause. Listen. Take the step you have already prayed in your heart. As it is written, return to me, and I will return to you. Malachi 3:7. I am already moving toward you as you speak. Not thunder to terrify you, but the quiet pressure of my hand to steady you while I rebuild what pain destabilized. Let us pray again, and let this be your doorway, not your performance. Father, I need you. Hold me, teach me, lead me. Where I have hurried, slow me. Where I have delayed, awaken me. Where I have made vows to earn what you give as gift, free me. I receive your peace. I receive your light. I receive your name over me. My child, I hear you. The words you offer are not small to me. They are seeds, and I am the faithful gardener who tends what you surrender and brings to life what you trust into my hands. Now let me say this over you so your heart can rest. You are still my child. Loss did not rename you. What left changed your circumstances, not your belonging. I call you mine. I call you chosen. I call you beloved. I call you home. Remain. Listen. Let me love you here. Let me name your future. You do not need to map the whole horizon. You need only to keep company with me for the next step. When the ache rises tonight, bring it back to this simple prayer. When the morning opens, bring your first moments into the quiet we share. When memory stings, do not numb it. Invite me into it. I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for permission to be your peace. This is how we continue. Small obediences carried by present grace. Guard the quiet we have made together. Keep the boundary you sensed while we spoke. Release the apology for needing time with me. If you stumble, rise inside the same sentence. Father, I need you. Hold me, teach me, lead me. My mercy will meet you where you fall and strengthen where you stand. No darkness is stronger than truth, and my truth is that you are not alone. As it is written, the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. Let that peace rule. Let that peace decide. Let that peace keep. Before we end, receive a gentle invitation. If this word has steadied you, remain in this fellowship of light. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss the quiet moments we will share again. Not as a ritual of obligation, but as a rhythm of remembrance, a way to return quickly when the noise grows loud. Now let us seal this together. Father, we return, not perfectly, but honestly. We give you our now, our ache, our hope. We receive your nearness, your mercy, your peace. We choose direction over speed, presence over performance, today over delay. Hold us, teach us, lead us, name our future, and keep us in your light. In Jesus' name, amen.